promised before I actually got sick that I was going to do a video on karmic patterns and what exactly karmic patterns are. Because somebody had asked me that specific question because they had heard me say it in relation to a lot of the astrological concepts that I had spoken about. So I thought I'd just do a brief video talking about that a little bit. So karmic patterns, I think first of all, to understand karmic patterns, we need to understand the word karma. And in most people's estimation, we have this belief that karma is somehow this thing where we have done something wrong and now we're being punished for it and we're supposed to do something in a completely different way. And I think that's a really limited understanding of karma. And I don't think that's really fully what karma is at all, right? Because when you translate the word karma, it means primarily a couple of things. It means action. So the actions that you have taken in the past have created a pattern. Are you always doing something wrong with those actions? Not necessarily. Sometimes you're doing something that's very necessary because you don't really know what else to do in that specific set of circumstances, and you're kind of having to navigate your way through whatever it is that you're dealing with, which leads us to the second translation of this word karma, which is work. We are here trying to work our way through this experience of existence, trying to apply ourselves to every situation as it rises and falls. And if you're going to attribute guilt to every single decision that you make along the way, man, you're going to be one really guilty person and just shouldering tons of burden throughout the entirety of creation. And that's not what karma means at all. It doesn't mean that you've done something bad and now you're being punished for it. Really, the one who's doing the punishing is you, right? You're punishing yourself because you're, holding guilt in your mind about something that you had done. Now, let's kind of understand that a little bit more. Does that mean we go out and do really horrible things to people and then go, oh, well, I don't feel guilty about that. So, there we go. No, nothing there. No, it doesn't mean that. But by the same token, everybody's here for a purpose, right? For those who are familiar with the great work of literature, the Bhagavad Gita, it's a story of Krishna and Arjuna and being in the middle of a battlefield. Arjuna's a warrior, and there's a great war between his clan and another clan, and he's in the middle of the battlefield, sees people who have been his teachers on the other side, sees relatives on the other side, and he's about to engage in battle with them, and he's going, how can I do this? Certainly I'm going to incur guilt, through taking actions against my teachers and taking actions against my relatives. And he has it explained to him, this is what you're made for. This is what you're meant to do. This is what you came into existence for. And so on that level, the person they're not really incurring guilt. They're doing what they're put here for. So again, on a certain level, it boils down to this judgment that we have about ourselves, that judgment that we hold about ourselves in terms of having done something right or having done something wrong. That's the thing that's creating guilt. And that's the thing of making us feel like we need to be punished for it. But it's not some, God like somewhere going, oh, you've been horrible. Now I'm going to punish you. It's us because we are just imagining a separation between ourselves and the infinite anyway. Because at the heart of it, we're all the divine. We just can't see that. We've lost that sight. We've lost that wisdom. At some point in the future, I'll do another video on how the ancient astrological text Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra actually explains this concept. But that's a matter for another day. But it's this thing that we actually hold the guilt about this situation, and we create the rod for our own back. So karma isn't about doing something bad and being punished for it. Karma is about having taken an action and having to confront the fact that you've taken that action and decide whether that was a good action, whether it was a bad action, whether to take that action again. And sometimes you might be in a position where you actually have to. So then should you feel guilt? Of course not, because you're having to do what it is that you had to do. So on that level, sometimes karma means here's this circumstance. It's similar to another circumstance you were in before. Last time you did this. Now you have an opportunity to either do that or do something else. And if you find yourself having to do the same thing you did before, it's about coming to terms with the fact that that was what you had to do, being at peace with it, which leads me to another concept that I want to talk to you about. But that defines karmic patterns. Karmic patterns are these patterns that are created by the actions that we've taken, the conditioning that is created by the things that we do. It's not necessarily that we did something wrong and we're being punished for it, or we did something right and God is giving us a cookie, or any of those things. It's much more a matter of ourselves and how we feel about it. So there's a concept in Vedic philosophy called anahata. That's the heart chakra. A lot of people are familiar with the concept of the heart chakra. The heart chakra is the energetic part of our being, which connects the lower human animal, connected to the first three nakshatras, Muladhara chakra, the root chakra, Swadhisthana chakra, Manipura chakra, the first three chakras that are the more animalistic side of our nature. Anahata chakra is where that becomes humanized and then expressed through the throat chakra. Ajna chakra, where we're tuning into the universe, and the crown chakra, where we're connecting to the entirety of existence. But let's come back to this concept of anahata. Anahata, or heart, and you'll hear me talk about heart in my work quite often. And when I talk about heart, I'm not talking about the emotions. I'm actually talking about being driven by as close of a concept to anahata chakra as we're able to attain. And you'll see what I mean by that. Because anahata is a word that translates into several different meanings, but prime amongst those meanings are the sound that is made by two things not striking each other. Think about that. The sound that is made by two things not striking each other. That's the vibration that's created by not being at odds with yourself. It's about knowing yourself. It's about being pure in your nature, pure in existence, and coming from this space, the heart space. The other meaning is unwounded, because when we're coming from that space, we are unwounded, we're pure, and we're whole. Now, this is a state we're all striving for, hopefully. It's not a state that anyone has necessarily attained, but it's a state we're striving for, of being at peace with ourselves. So the whole thing of karmic guilt, or doing something and then having to rectify that, all lies right here. It's all related to what we're carrying in our heart. So you'll hear me talk quite often in my work about how your horoscope chart is just a collection of your karmic patterns. It's a collection of the actions that you've taken previously and the patterns those have created. But you're not your karmic patterns. You're not your karmic patterns. You're something that is far more unlimited than that. You're the infinite, and so much more than that, but you're choosing to see yourself in this limited capacity. And so what our horoscope chart is for, in my opinion, it's not there to say you need to do this, you need to do that, or it's not there to say you're going to get married, you're not going to get married. That's a real, on a certain level, in my opinion, a materialistic use of the horoscope. And I think it's what a lot of people tend to use astrology for. And I don't mean to criticize people for doing that, but I think we have a greater function with astrology, which is understanding the patterns that rise and fall whilst you're being true to your heart, whilst you're being true to your nature. That's what astrology shows us, is it goes, here are these patterns that are coming to the surface. Are you going to not be true to yourself? Or are you going to be as true to yourself as possible? When we're true to ourselves, we develop self-trust, we develop self-confidence. We also develop a really excellent relationship with ourselves. And we tend to find ourselves in a position in life where we're a whole lot happier than we might otherwise be. And that's the thing that I want to use astrology to help you with more so than anything else in my work, which is to help you to tune in to you and to help you to trust yourself and to become empowered in all the decisions that you make so that you trust that you're making the best choices possible that are coming from this heart-centered space of existence. If you want to give me a chance to do that, there is a link over to the side. You can schedule in one of my consultations with me. I have half-hour consultations for people who feel like an hour might be too much for their budget. There are also hour consultations, which are presently available for $108. I'd like to introduce you to this new way of working with astrology, which I really think is more of an old way of working with astrology that gives us a lot more power and understanding of ourselves and our interaction with the universe. So if you're interested in scheduling with me, the link is over in the comments section over to the side. I want to thank you so much for watching and listening to me babble, because it's a lot of fun to be able to babble and to have a lot of people listen to you while you're babbling. And thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.